Hello everyone, I'm Haanahgrace. Welcome to my channel. I view topics like reality TV, current events, gardening, and wellness from a behavioral and faith-based perspective. Again, thank you for joining me, and please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Today we're talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. I want to discuss the brief conversation that Letitia and Marcel had about their lawsuit and his deposition. Let's talk about it. Yes, we see Letitia and Marcel, they meet up at the house that they are renovating. Okay, and she brings him a healthy beverage and they start talking, and Letitia said, I wanted to talk to you. I know you had court the other day. And Marcel said, I ain't have court. I didn't have court. I had a deposition. She said, well, how did it go? He said, it went surprisingly well. And in his confessional, Marcel said, every time you sue somebody in construction, you're going to get a counterclaim. And so at this point, right now, they added it something. I don't know what he said, but then he said, yeah, we are going to take it to trial, T. So at first, I did not notice Marcel's body language. So I rewinded, and then I looked, and when Letitia asked him about the court, she said, well, how did it go? First, when she said, I even asked him about the court case, his eyes shifted all the way to the opposite direction of where Letitia was standing. And then when he told her it went surprisingly well, he still would not look her in the face because he's lying. According to these documents that that has been released on the deposition, it didn't go well for you. So if this information, you didn't know that this information was going to come out, it's out, and it did not go well for you. And this is all alleged, and in my opinion, I did look at that video that Trending at some point put out regarding the depositions, and in this deposition, it looks like there is a lot of lying going on. And yes, so even though his mouth is saying that it went well, his body language and his eye contact is telling us that, it's telling me, allegedly, and in my opinion, that he's afraid, and yes, he is embarrassed because he knows it's time now to pay the piper. You lied apparently on that bid. You got that multi-million-dollar bid. You messed the people building up. You thought it was fun and games to get the money and get the bid and brag about it. But oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. Marcel said, we're going to take him to court, T. Letitia told me, ha, ha, ha. She was laughing, but it was a nervous laugh. But either way it go, this is not fun and games. When you take a multi-million-dollar project, somebody else's money now, their hard-earned money that they had to borrow, and you take people's money and you do a horrible job. You bid for the job that you were not qualified to do, and you knew that you weren't qualified to do it, but you took on the task. You failed at the task. Now, there's nothing wrong with failure, but when someone else have to pay for that failure, now if you pay for your own failure, hey, we don't have a problem with that. But when someone else has to pay for your failure, for when you took their money and their resources and made a big mess out of it, then that's when people have a problem. I don't think you would like it one bit if you hire someone, Marcel and Letitia, to do a job for you, and they took your money and said, I'm going to do the job. We agreed on the terms of this contract. We are going to do this job for you for X amount of dollars. And they took your money and walked away with all of your money and didn't do half the job that they committed to doing in that contract. I think you would have a problem with that. So why is it now that you feel like Zen Garden shouldn't have a problem with it? It sounds like Marcel and Letitia bit off more than they can chew, because according to Black Titanic, the Scotts went down to the courthouse to request that the case be dismissed. According to Black Titanic, not my words, hers, they were down there begging the court to dismiss this case. Maybe not in those exact words. I have to go back and check out her video. But I definitely, according to that deposition and some of the things that's in there, I wouldn't blame them. I would want that case dismissed. But Zen Garden is saying, no, we're moving forward with this case. And yes, during this episode, we did see Melody bring up the $5.5 million fraud lawsuit against the Scotts. At the beginning of the episode, we see a flashback scene with Carlos King asking the Scotts about the lawsuit. He said there's a lot going on online about this lawsuit with Scott and Marcel. And so Marcel replied that it was hurtful and embarrassing. Okay, so you say it's hurtful and embarrassing. How do you think the property management feel and the owners of Zen Garden? Do you think that it's hurtful to them for them to rely on your information that you put in a bid, where you put in a bid and you said you can do the job and you did not complete the job, and they ended up having to go and get another company to come in and fix the mess that you created? And you talking about you're hurt and you're embarrassed? You ought to be embarrassed. But hurt, that's toxic thinking. You have not don't seem to have any remorse and no empathy for the people that you caused all the damages to. If what we're reading is correct, again, this is alleged, and in my opinion, this is just again alleged and in my opinion. But again, if that is what happened, then you ought to be embarrassed, and you ought not to submit another bid because you lied. It's apparent that you lied on the bid. You lied completely on that bid, and you won the bid, and you messed those people's property up. You damaged their property, and you're embarrassed, and you ought to be. But are you talking about you hurt? It's hurtful and embarrassing. It wasn't hurtful when you was running around there spending those people money, and it wasn't hurtful when you was running to Africa on those trips and all that stuff. You took that money under fraudulent pretense, and you ought to be embarrassed. But hurt? No. And if you all had left wealth enough alone and not sue those people for money that you probably did not deserve because you messed their property up, if you had left well enough alone, you probably wouldn't be in this kind of suit right now. You know what? No good deed goes unpunished. Here's the thing. Because apparently I've heard someone else say, this is alleged and as well, that there are other people that contracted with you. You took their money and their resource and failed to complete the job. This is how God operates. What goes around comes around. What goes up must come down. The things you do will come back to you. So here it is. You decided that in your mind that anytime you file a lawsuit in construction, you're going to get a countersuit. That's your stinking thinking. So you're saying, I'm going to file this lawsuit against them. And it was really your fault that you're in the position now, not only because you messed the people building up, but because you got greedy and continued the same things that you were doing, that you did to Zen Garden, you tried to do to other people. And guess what? Maybe, just maybe, they're doing this, filing this counter lawsuit and going forward with it, so you won't do it to anyone else. And then you have the audacity to sit up and talk about you have all of this experience as a business person, and Melody is selling t-shirts. Almost like shit, her businesses are not as important as your businesses. Let me tell you something, Mr. Marcel. And I wish Chris had checked you last night. But look at this. Listen to me closely. You must still be in La La Land, where you were when you filled out those bids and lied. All of that experience you said you had to be in La La Land or Never Never Land. Because when you put your businesses up against Melody Cherie's and you come up with the conclusion that you came up with last night, hey, there's some problems with you. Come on back to earth. Yes, again, this is very disturbing if what we're learning about this lawsuit and the details surrounding this lawsuit, if any of this is true, then again, the Scott's going to have to, it's time to pay the piper. So that's all I have for this video. I'm going to do another video regarding Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 17. Again, thank you for joining me, and we'll talk again soon.